Hey guys, Wayback Rewind here. In the year 2009, memory cards had finally gotten large enough and video compression schemes efficient enough that full motion high definition video could finally be stored without tape. This allowed a brand new type of camcorder to be born, but they didn't last very long. What happened to them? Today I'm going to bring you the story of the Pocket Camcorder. Coming up next, here on Wayback Rewind. So the year was 2009. We finally got to where we could record onto camcorders without tape. This is the actual camera that I bought in 2009. The Panasonic HDC It records onto a hard drive and also onto an SD card, which is the current state of the art. So by putting an SD card into this camera, you have the ability to record video all day on an SD card. So I bought this in 2009. I started having issues with it in 2010. By 2011, it was dead. But I have since replaced it with a new one that works perfectly fine. It can do full HD, 1920 by 1080, and it has a 120 gigabyte hard drive, but it can also record to SD card, which is the current state of the art. So the market was still sorting itself out in 2009 in terms of whether or not we were going to go with hard drives or go with something else, which I'll talk about in a minute. But for me, the hard drive camcorder was the peak of camcorder because I love the fact that I could always have a hard drive ready to go. More than once, I've taken my modern camera out and left the SD card in the computer, and then I have nothing to shoot with, and the day is ruined. But with the hard drive camcorder, you always had memory. You could always shoot. It was really my favorite camera of all cameras. But Sony was going in a different direction. They had a hybrid camera that could record on DVD and memory stick. Now, whether you like memory stick or not, it is a viable format for recording onto. This one, you can put a 16 gigabyte memory card in here, and it'll record to it just fine. Now, the beauty of these hybrid cameras is that you could use multiple ways of recording. I was never a big fan of the DVD recorders, but I bought one just to have one. You know, by the time you put this in high def, you know, it can probably barely record 10 minutes of video, so it's kind of pointless. But the fact that it can record to a memory stick makes it very, very useful. But this also opened the door for a new type of camera. A camera that only recorded to a memory stick. So we bring in the Sony MHS-PM1. MHS stands for... What does MHS stand for? I'm assuming MHS stands for Mobile HD Snap Camera, which is on the cover of the owner's manual. But this camera, compared to what we were shooting with for more serious purposes, is obviously much smaller. Interestingly, these two cameras did not compete for the same market. These were the cameras that serious users were using. Serious in the sense of, I'm going out to shoot my kid's soccer game. I'm going to use something like this to record in full HD, 1920 by 1080. This also has 1080, but I'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. This took some compromises in order to get it to as small as possible. The mobile snap camera was something that came about in 2009, basically because it could. The first time that cameras could actually be this small because there's no tape mechanism. Sony had been trying for decades to build the smallest camera possible, and here they built the smallest tape-based camera of all time, the DCR IP1. In weight standpoint, it weighs a fraction, and of course there's no mechanism to deal with. So this is a dramatic improvement in compactness, not to mention that this is a high definition camera. I'll talk about that more in a minute. 2009 was the era where YouTube was just catching on. People are out there vlogging, they're wanting to shoot video, they want it easy, they want it quick, and these snap cameras, as Sony called it, it was the answer. This camera does advertise a 1080 capability. It's 1440 by 1080, so it's not what we would call full HD today. I'll just cut to the chase. The main problem with this camera in terms of quality and why you wouldn't use this as your primary camera is bitrate. Now, this Panasonic was roundly criticized at the time for only having 17 megabits as its highest rate. Many other cameras of the day could shoot at 24 to 25 megabits, which was considered the standard for high definition at that time. I couldn't find anywhere written down what the data rate is for this camera, but looking at the actual files, the most I can squeeze out of it is about 6 megabits. So 6 megabits is probably just barely better than what you would expect out of a standard definition camera, and they pretty much expected you to be uploading 480 files, 720 by 480. I don't think they even expected you to use 720, let alone 1080. This camera does not have Wi-Fi. It does have USB. It can operate as a webcam. So when I plug in that monitor, I lose the screen. It's not a touch screen. There's no viewfinder, obviously. You have to use this little knob down here. I found to be kind of difficult because it also pushes. The camera rotates 270 degrees, so you can use it as a selfie camera. That's kind of nice. The other thing, like all other real cameras, it has a removable battery and a removable memory stick. So compared to your phone, I would say the same thing as any standalone camera. The fact that I can shoot with this all day, replace the battery, continue shooting, replace the memory stick, keep shooting, that has a big advantage over a phone in any era. But to me, the thing that ended the usefulness of this camera is the low bit rate. So what happened to the webcams or pocket camcorders or whatever you want to call them? I'll tell you what happened. This came out in 2009. What also happened in 2009, the iPhone 3GS was the first iPhone that had video capability, and you know the rest of the story. Once iPhones got video capability and everyone had a video camera in their pocket, there was no reason to have a pocket camcorder, and these things disappeared after a very short shelf life. But nobody is using pocket camcorders anymore. So there you have it. The Sony MHS-PM1, the webcam, the mobile snap cam that came into being and was wiped out by the iPhone like just about everything else. If you found this interesting, please like or subscribe to my channel, and thanks for watching.